Sup Fool, my workout with Angelina Maldonado. So this girl, she's somebody who, if you follow Brad or Zoo Culture or anybody, she's a fitness influencer. Now, I just want to give her credit because we've been talking, like I'll see her around. She's friends with Isaiah and Noel. So like, I've just seen her around. We all got our nails done one time, got pedicures, and I thought that was funny. And a couple things impress upon me and that we talked about today. Like, because she'll go, oh yeah, people kind of like tell me they assume I'm going to be a bitch or whatever. And I guess that's true. I've known her for a little bit now. I know that she's a very nice person, but like, one of these girls that maybe you look at her face and just think that she's, the resting bitch face, right? It's hard to kind of see now maybe, but like, she gets that a lot. But I've experienced her as nothing but really sweet and thoughtful in person. We'd been kind of like, like you say, like, oh, work out with you sometime. I'll work out with you sometime. But I was at Zoo Culture this morning, and we'd been talking, oh, yeah, let's go, like, work out at Zoo sometime. Not even, it's always, like, loose, like, what are we going to do? Hit chest, whatever. I was waiting for Brendan. He was busy doing some stuff. Like, sometimes we'll say, like, okay, meet up at 9. And then because you're putting out fires with your multiple businesses or whatever, or situations like, that ends up getting pushed back. So I noticed Angelina was there, and she was about to do a workout. I said, what are you doing? She's like, I'm going to do the circuit of, we started off doing, or she was going to start off doing squats, then box jumps, then leg raises. So she was like basically like full body circuit. I'm like, I'm down with that. That's a workout style that I've used before to great benefit. I really like working out like that. I think it's a great way to fit in cardio and get some hypertrophy training in there. Maybe not maximize your hypertrophy training, but like you're going to be exhausted. And so during the course of that workout, I saw something that I think separates her from both men and women that I often work out with. She embraces intensity. We did 4 rounds of 15 rep squats. So I was using 225. I think she went from like 95 to like, 115 to 135, which, it's probably around her weight. It was relatively intense. And 15 reps of anything on squat is intense. Then I think she was doing 10 to 15 box jumps at a pretty, on a pretty high platform, like at least, waist high. And then like 10 to 15 reps of the hanging knee raises, which she has impeccable form on. 4 rounds of that, and then Brendan showed up, but so we did our deadlift workout, but she was still going to go with like using the same weight for lunges and kettlebell, like Romanian deadlifts into pull-ups, like 4 more rounds of that. And I was like, goddamn, you don't see a lot of people working out like that outside of a CrossFit context. And I go, okay, so where'd you pick this up? Like, what program do you follow? And she's like, I've always done my programming myself. And I'm like, there we go. Booyakasha. That's dope, because that's how I feel. Like, I don't really like following other people's programs. I get inspired by them, but ultimately it's like one of the only things in my life where I can have complete control over. So even working out with other people, I kind of like to, as I always say, I think you need to learn how to work out with yourself first. Don't always be reliant on a gym partner. And also, don't be reliant on a workout program. Figure out what you like and what works for you and experiment with your own intensity, because sometimes people get caught in this thing of like, 3 sets of 10 or 5 sets of 5. And it's like, or go in and do 20 sets of bench press. See how you like it. That could be your entire chest workout. There's nothing wrong with that. And sometimes when you're negotiating with somebody else, it's always like, it can be a hindrance. Like, what do you want to do? Well, go in and experiment. It's hard to experiment when you have to negotiate with somebody, because you can't just go on your whim and be like, today I'm only going to do, a bunch of heavy squats or do a circuit style training. And that's kind of how I developed it. And also, how I initially met Chappelle was he would come work out with me and he would allow me to do stuff like that. And he wouldn't be like, no, I don't feel like doing that. Because the moment somebody does that, it's like, oh my God, fuck off. But Chappelle was really great about, just listening to my ideas for like, all right, we've got this circuit. We're going to do like the landmine. We're going to do presses into rows, into RDLs, into lunges, into like whatever the fuck this ab thing is. And he'd be down, right? And so I'm like, okay, we can work out because you're not interfering with my experimentation process. I was impressed with Angelina because she has an amazing physique. She has really well-developed legs. She has a really well-developed upper body, and she's very lean. You don't see physiques like this a lot, I think, anywhere. You don't see it at zoo, and there's like some really, girls in great shape at zoo, right? And maybe you're just born like that, and maybe you have like really prominent abs or whatever. Like, when I look at her body, you assume she works hard, but maybe not. Maybe you don't work out that hard, but you kind of have good genetics and just don't eat anything. But like this girl, I think, has a physique that a lot of women would want to emulate. And she has a lot of muscle on her upper body. How she gets that, I discovered today, is she works her ass off. She puts herself, by coming up with these workout ideas, through her own extremely difficult workouts. And I have nothing but admiration for that. And I also found out today that she played high school football. She was a kicker. And she kind of glossed over it. I'm like, so what's your athletic background? Like, did you do, swimming or gymnastics or, because usually people who are in their early 20s who are very muscular have some sort of athletic background. She's like, I did some track and then I played football. And then I'm like, wait. Like, she's glossing over it like, oh, yeah, no big deal. But she was the kicker, but she's still like, she participated in like 8-on-8 in the off season and stuff. And, she was lifting with the boys since she was like 14 years old. And I'm like, makes sense, checks out. And I just think that's dope. And I want to give people attention like that because you're going to look at her page and focus on her looks. Rightfully so. But just know that in person, this girl works her ass off, and it's no mistake that she looks the way she does. And so I asked her to come on the podcast sometime. She's like, oh my God, who, me? Like, I'm not even that interesting. I'm like, yes, you are. Yes, queen. Hopefully we get her on because I do think she has an interesting story and an interesting perspective, even from, for the fact that she's 23.